Hallo alle zusammen, willkommen zu meinem neuen Video auf meinem Kanal NeoRetro. Heute habe ich eine Podcast-Diskussion mit Rogersbase geplant. Er ist ein ziemlich großer YouTuber im englischen Bereich. Wir werden uns über Kaido, die Götter und so weiter unterhalten. Leider kann er nur Englisch sprechen, also wird das Ganze eine englische Konversation sein, doch ich hoffe, dass ihr trotzdem gerne zuhören könnt, wie immer. Ich würde sagen, wir legen direkt los mit dem, dass er sich vorstellen wird und dann würde ich gerne mal eure Kommentare zu den Dingen wissen, über die wir sprechen werden. So, hey Rogersbase, how's it going?
It's going really good.
It's good.
I'm glad that we actually are getting it to work this time. Last time we recorded this, it was a great 50-minute long video.
Yes.
And then all the audio was lost. So hopefully this one's going to work. We're both back up recording, so I think it'll be okay. And I've read the chapter since then too, so we've got a lot to discuss.
This time will be more like a recap anyway, so it might be better than last time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, why don't you introduce yourself to my German audience?
Sure. So I am a North American One Piece YouTuber. My name's Rogersbase. I do One Piece manga and anime reactions. I'm going to actually do a live reaction to the new anime episode coming out tomorrow, which is the big Luffy versus Kaido fight. And then I do live reactions to the manga every Sunday and reviews every Monday. And on top of that, I do like Nintendo videos and live streams and Japan vlogs and a whole bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah, and definitely watch your manga reviews on Sunday if there's a chapter. I watch them all the time, so I would suggest everyone to watch them.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so
that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, every single time, you know, I tune in. When I do the laundry, I will always listen to your manga reviews, so perfect.
I feel like that's the best way to do it, especially for the long streams. It's like while you're doing a task, right? Either you're doing your laundry or doing your dishes or something, you turn it on in the background. That's like my ideal way to consume content too. And I listen to a lot of podcasts and long form videos, so that's perfect.
And I get stunned by Charlie, Maxime, holy cow.
Oh yeah, oh my god, yeah. I know. Maxime's crazy. Charlie Numbrock, I already told him, I said I'm gonna buy him drinks during Oktoberfest next year.
You should. He deserves it, man. He deserves it.
He absolutely does.
Yeah. All right. Today's topic is about Kaido being an actual dragon.
Right.
Because we both think, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, that Kaido has no devil fruit like most people believe, but that he is an actual dragon that can turn into a human being. So what is your opinion on this?
Yeah, so for me, I still don't necessarily believe that Kaido's devil fruit is going to be some simple dragon devil fruit. I actually think he might have a devil fruit, but I don't think it's going to be a zone dragon devil fruit. I think it's going to be like a mythical zone Oni devil fruit. And that he is an actual dragon, just like you said, but that his devil fruit power isn't a dragon devil fruit power.
And that's a very interesting idea, especially because he seems to be so overpowered, which you just saw in the anime, right?
Right. I mean, that scene really was incredible. The last time that we recorded this, where we got to see Kaido, transforming, you were teasing me and telling me, oh, it's really, really good. And so as soon as we finished recording, I turned on Twitch and I did a live reaction to that episode. And it really was phenomenal. The way they drew Kaido's transformation was just interesting. It didn't look like some of the other zone transformations that we've seen in the series. Obviously, we've seen stuff with Marco and, other characters transforming into a zone character. But I mean, like, the way that Kaido transformed just looked incredible. Almost like it was a different level. Almost like it was some type of mythical thing. Yes, and not just a regular zone power.
Especially everything that comes with it. He can control the weather, like, thunder, and his shooting ability is going to be shown in the anime next week.
Can't wait. Yeah,
so my idea is more that it has to do with mythology. I told you about this last week, and I made up videos about that on my channel a lot. So I think my viewers will know, with the 4 Chinese directions of the sky, and the east being the blue dragon, and Kaido being an inspiration from that. That there's kind of deities in One Piece, and Kaido just represents that, the deity of Wano Kuni, because in the Chinese mythologies back then, since to the east to China is the Japanese Sea, so the blue dragon is the deity, the protective deity of Japan, and Wano Kuni is Japan in One Piece, and even the people of Wano Kuni are calling Kaido their protective deity, so that's why they respect him.
Yep.
And there's going to be this whole showdown, I think, where Momonosuke in his dragon form will kind of replace Kaido as that guardian dragon. So I think what I really want to play it off as Kaido being actual dragon. So
I completely agree with you too. We talked about that a little bit the last time that we recorded with Momonosuke sort of replacing Kaido as the dragon guardian of Wano Country, right? And since recording that with you, I did a miniature podcast with 2 other North American YouTubers, Mr. Morge and O'Hara. And we were discussing the idea of, dragons within Wano Country and Momonosuke's eventually role by the end of the series. And the one thing that really stood out to me that I was like, oh, this could be so cool is obviously, Momonosuke is young still. Yeah, he's technically older, but he's young still within the world of One Piece. And if there's another character that maybe comes in during the Fire Festival in Wano Country, we were talking and throwing around the idea that maybe Bonnie ages up Momonosuke to his actual proper age. And when he's grown up, he actually looks like a fully grown dragon, similar to how Kaido looks right now. And so when, everything is said and done at the end of the Fire Festival and Momonosuke is left watching over Wano Country, he actually looks like a mythical dragon. He looks like he could be the guardian of Wano.
Oh, that would be really interesting. I would love that.
I know, because we were talking about the dragon thing before with the Guardians, and I completely agreed with you before, but then, when Morge brought up Bonnie potentially aging him up, because we know all these characters are going to come later on for the Fire Festival, I thought, oh, wouldn't that be cool? Because the one thing about Bonnie is that the last time that we saw her, she was at the Reverie trying to save Kuma. And since then, we found out at the beginning of, was it the beginning of Act 3 or the end of Act 2, whatever?
I think so.
We found out that Sabo was either captured or killed, and that the revolutionaries were taken in as well. And if that's the case, it would be really neat to see maybe after Act 3, after everything is said and done, we jump back to Reverie again, and we almost get a flashback of what happened that day with, Kuma, and maybe they were unsuccessfully able to save him. But Kuma recognized Bonnie and then says to Bonnie, look, you deserve more than this. You didn't need to come save me. He, slaps her in the same way that he slapped all the Straw Hats. Yeah. She goes flying off, and then boom, she ends up in Wano Country. And that's like the perfect setup for getting her from the Reverie to Wano.
Oh, that would be amazing. I would love that idea.
Yeah, and then me too. I know. I got chills when we were talking about it. And I went, I gotta tell Retro.
And a lot of people are. Oh, thank you, man. A lot of people are also drawing connections between Big Mom and Bonnie. Maybe they can also play into that if she shows up like that in Wano, right?
Especially because it seems like right now Big Mom and Kaido are both going to go down during the end of Wano Country. That's just how the story is sort of being set up right now. And if that's the case, that weird connection that seems to be there between Bonnie and Big Mom that still is unexplained, that would be the opportunity to explain it. Okay. If Bonnie arrives during the Fire Festival, that gives them the opportunity, if Big Mom does actually go down in Wano Country, to actually explain it before Big Mom croaks.
Well, I could just imagine Bonnie turning Big Mom into a child again, and Big Mom just raging as a little kid. And
that'd be so good. That'd be so good.
I would love that. I just thought of that idea. That would be so awesome.
I love that idea. That'd be awesome.
That would be cool. Which would make sense why we saw that flashback in the first place, right? Now seeing it again, that would be cool.
For sure. Yeah, she's like reverted back to her childhood self. Yeah, totally. And then maybe somehow that triggers the memory too of having, eaten Mother Carmel. And maybe that does something to her. Maybe she screams again, and that's enough to like maybe take Kaido down within the midst of the fight to that. Not take him down, but hurt his armor a little bit, so then finally Luffy could go in with the final blow, or somebody else.
Yeah, or she turns into a kid and then looks in the water and sees herself as a kid, and then she gets a flashback of what happened and just freaks out completely.
That would be great.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Just so we don't lose track of the topic.
Oh, of course.
It's always amazing.
I felt like I had to bring this up, though, because I heard it since the last time we recorded, and I'm like, I gotta tell him.
No, that's the point of discussions like this, right? You can go off track, but there's also a lot of things with God Valley and the new chapter, we have to talk about some other things too, so.
Oh, man. Where do you want to begin?
Okay, so, about Kaido, one of your arguments was that you said last week, which you don't have anymore, is that there was also no text box shown for Kaido.
Right. So when we first saw Kaido, we didn't get a devil fruit power along with his name. There was no text box. And every character in Wano Country up to this point has had some type of Oda box. And even like the smaller characters like Hold'em, I guess Queen and King aren't small characters, but King and Queen as well, Orochi too. We got the specific name of their devil fruit, and we never saw that with Kaido, which is why I still think there's something fishy going on. Because if it was just something as simple as a dragon fruit, why not just say that? Well, why not have the Oda box with, Kaido, dragon fruit in it? There has to be something else to it. And I think that one thing is either what we were talking about, where he's actually a dragon and it's some type of mythical zone that's like an Oni zone or something. Or it's something else entirely, maybe like a higher level of mythical zone where it's not just a regular zone dragon fruit, but there's something else to it, like a I don't know the right way to describe it, like a holy zone or something, like almost like a new class, like something that's above the other ones that we've never even seen before. But there has to be something that's never been seen before in One Piece that has to do with Kaido's devil fruit. Otherwise, why wouldn't we have seen that already?
And at the same time, dragons, at least Asian dragons, are known to be able to change shape into human beings. So those are known stories, at least in Asia. So I can see Oda doing that with Kaido. It wouldn't be too far off of what's existing.
Yeah, I mean, that would be really interesting, right? If it was a mythical zone human fruit, but it was like a dragon mythical zone human fruit, and it was because he's like a transformation thing. I didn't even consider that, but that would have been really cool.
Exactly, yeah. I don't understand personally why a lot of people don't like the idea of Kaido being the actual dragon when dragons do exist in One Piece. It's not a far off idea, especially with...
We saw it in Punk Hazard.
Exactly. And also that somehow Vegapunk plays into that. And I want to get to Momonosuke again, because the artificial devil fruit that Momonosuke ate is something that Vegapunk created.
Right.
And obviously Orochi himself is somehow interested in Vegapunk. So there seems to be some connection going on with Momonosuke's form in Kaido's dragon form.
And the interesting thing about that, too, is you bring up Vegapunk. I'm of the mind that I don't think Vegapunk, Smoker, or any of them will show up during Wano Country. But I think what could happen is we find out more information about Vegapunk developing that devil fruit that Momo eventually ate. And that leads us directly into the Elbaf arc, where I do think we could see Vegapunk. Because I don't know why, but I feel like Vegapunk and Smoker, because they're with the kids right now, because they're with like the giant children from Punk Hazard, I feel like the giant children are going to have some type of connection to Elbaf, right? Because that was the whole thing, is the government was experimenting on trying to create giants. And so maybe there's going to be something there where Vegapunk is still trying to do research, and then that's how they run into the crew. And we talked about this during last week as well on the one that got lost. But when we saw... not Vegapunk the last time, but the last time that we saw the Big Mom flashback and we saw Haruden, obviously since then, Haruden has become part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. And if the Straw Hat Grand Fleet shows up during the Fire Festival, which we presume they probably will, based on those editor comments, then that would give them the perfect opportunity to then travel to Elbaf afterwards. Because if Haruden's there, he can give him a lift, similar to how Bartolomeo gave him a lift after Dressrosa.
That would be amazing. I would like that.
Yeah.
And also the Tenryubito are interested in dragons for sure. So what I want to get at is, if there's dragons like Kaido in the world of One Piece, and they obviously existed before, but Vegapunk has to create them, like he did in Punk Hazard, what happened to them? Where did they go? And this
I'd love to know.
This all ties me into last chapter where we saw Roger at the end. Not you. It would good to have you in the chapter. But
no, I know. I would love to be. No. Well, the end of the last chapter was so... I think the last chapter in general was just so good. There was so much information packed into that chapter between, seeing young Roger and seeing Lady Toki, finding out she's from the Void Century. Like, the possibilities there with what that means, that she's from the Void Century. Like, why does she want to go to Wano Country? Does she know the poneglyphs were made in Wano? Because to her, if she's been jumping through time... Was that like relatively recently? Did she know the samurai that actually crafted the poneglyphs all those years ago? Does she know Joy Boy? Is Eam Joy Boy? Are we going to meet, there's all these weird questions that come from the end of that chapter.
I feel like she did. I feel like she did know the poneglyphs and how they were created. That's why she wants to have a look. I think so too.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that's why she wants to go to Wano. It's because I think she knows that. She's wanted to go there, and she's not actually maybe originally from it. She just mentions to Oden, I really want to go there. And I think that's why she wants to research the poneglyphs.
And when I saw her, I had to laugh really hard, because I was always imagining, for these past years, how Oda is going to introduce the ancient kingdom and all that to us.
Oh, sure.
And I was just looking at it, exactly, that's how he's going to do it, She's a tool for him to explain to us everything that happened back then.
You notice on her clothes as well, she has the moon symbol too.
Yes.
So that ties all the way back to what the symbol means and the Void Century and the connections there. It's fascinating stuff.
So at the end of the chapter when we saw Gold Roger, not Goldie, he's Gold Roger there.
Right.
So.
And that's important too. Hold on, let's talk about that too really quick, because they mentioned at the end of the chapter that he's specifically Gold Roger. So he must know that he has the will of D, but maybe he doesn't understand it quite yet. And so I think by the end of this flashback, he will finally go by Gold D Roger and have some type of understanding of what the will of D is. Because the way they're setting everything up, we know Oden's going to be with Roger when he goes to Raftel. And this is Odin's flashback, so we're probably going to see Odin going to Raftel. Which means if we go to Raftel in this flashback and Lady Toki's there to explain the Void Century, there's a high likelihood, especially because they didn't have Gold D Roger written out, that there will be some type of explanation of the Will of D, or the reveal to Roger that he's actually part of, you know, this ancient group of people from this lost kingdom. So
this also made me think, I think, because when Roger and Whitebeard met, you know, that flashback with the, you know, Sakurai trees and all that?
Oh, yes.
If I remember right, it was before Roger's death.
Oh, how cool would that be if that was Wano Country? Oh,
yeah, right?
And it's on their way back to Wano Country at the end. Oh, man, and they're drinking on the shore. Oh.
Right, so Roger, but the thing is...
Oh, my God, Retro, this is so good.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, Roger is doing this right before he's about to die. To Whitebeard. So Roger doesn't know until the very end of his journey the entire story. So I think what's going to happen is after Odin and Toki leave Whitebeard's ship and join Roger's ship, which is what I think is going to happen.
Right.
There will be some event where Toki will notice that his name is not Gold Roger, but Goldie. Maybe he will just casually mention it, like, oh yeah, my actual name is Goldie Roger, but they just call me Gold Roger and I don't know what it means.
Right.
And then Toki will be like, oh, you know? And then she'll be like, she would get like, it will click in her mind, like, oh, you're one of those D. And then she'll start explaining Roger things, and then that's how Roger is going to change his journey. I think that's going to happen. And then the next time Roger goes to Wano Country to drop off Odin, he then meets Whitebeard again, and then that flashback happens. I think.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
I absolutely love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then,
I think you're right, actually, too.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. And that's why now it says Gold Roger and not Goldie, because Toki's going to reveal him the truth about it. Yeah. Because he doesn't know yet. That. He just goes with it, right? Yeah.
That could be a whole video. You could honestly make a whole video about that.
Dude, my ideas, man. I'm just thinking all the time about One Piece.
They're good ideas. They're good ideas, man.
Yeah. So, about that flashback, though, you can see Roger's egg. You know, the Yoshi egg on the ship?
Yes.
You call it the Yoshi egg, so I can't resist.
I do call it the Yoshi egg. I know. So. It's not even really a Yoshi egg. It looks more like the egg of the Windfish from Link's Awakening, but I mean, you can call it a Yoshi egg, and that's fine.
I almost made a theory about that, actually, a while ago. I was like, maybe Oda likes Legend of Zelda that much. You know?
Yeah, right.
So the thing is, he had the ship before he went to Raftel, or maybe he had the egg, even before he knew about the Void Century. So I was thinking that the egg itself doesn't have to do with it, and tying back to the dragons, maybe dragons existed in One Piece and they existed on God Valley, but now God Valley is destroyed, which then killed all dragons, right?
Right.
So Roger saved one of the eggs of the dragons, and that's on his ship now, and it doesn't hatch, and he doesn't know what to do with it.
The thing that's interesting about the God Valley thing, because, obviously time is a little strange when it comes to One Piece right now with the things that are going on with the Rocks Pirates and their history and God Valley and all of that. One thing I had brought up actually on that other podcast, the one that we recorded like last week, was that what if God Valley is Marijoa, right? Where the history of the world was actually rewritten, where underneath Marijoa, that area that Imu was walking in with the giant straw hat and with the giant, deified statues. What if that actually was God Valley? And the reason that the Marines nowadays don't even know about God Valley is because Imu and the Gorosei eradicated the idea that God Valley once existed and that Marijoa is on top of it from the rest of the world. Yeah. Because the other thing that's weird about Marijoa is, one, we've seen with the God Valley topography that it's got these two mountains on either side and then a big peak. Well, if you look at the topography of going over the red line, right, and crossing through, you go up the stream and then you go down the stream on either side. Yeah. So based on the way that actually looks, it looks like you almost go up one side and then fly down the other, and that's how you get to the other side of the red line. And two, when you're at the very top of it, right, and you're looking over everything else, and they call Marijoa, the land of the gods, the home of celestial dragons, all this stuff, all these ideas that it's, this holy land, right, the holy land of Marijoa. Well, that would make sense if there was this holy land that they were trying to say, oh, it has some type of tie to the gods of the world to be in God Valley. Because we've only seen Marijoa, and then we've seen the clouds around Marijoa. And we saw that scene during the Reverie chapters where the characters were at the base of the mountain and then took the little lift all the way up and then finally got to Marijoa. But we never actually see what's on the in-between. And we could assume that if the Gorosei were on Marijoa during the scenes at the end of the Reverie, and that Imu was walking into that giant chamber that looked like it could be God Valley during the Reverie arc, unless they all have teleportation powers, it has to be taking place in somewhat of a close vicinity, right?
Yes, yeah.
So if there is a connection there between God Valley and that hallway that Imu walked down, I think it could be that the government maybe retold the story, because you know how they even said with Marijoa that it was founded 700 years ago or whatever by this whole that whole thing could be BS. That could be their actual rewriting of the Void Century that people have been just believing for all these years, and that's what they actually covered up.
I like that. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea for sure. Yeah. Especially because the world government has so much power.
Absolutely.
People forgot about Roxy Zebek, right? So that was very recent compared to the whole story of One Piece. So.
Oh yeah, and the other thing to note too is I've been thinking about this a lot recently with Toki's power, and with Toki being in the most recent chapter, how her power can't go back to the past. Her power can only bring her into the future. So I was wondering, okay, well if that's a devil fruit that exists, right, that can take you into the future infinitely, is there a devil fruit that could take you into the past? And if that's the case, is there someone from the far future that has maybe traveled into the past? And then I was thinking, okay, well, future technology, all this stuff, what if that person is Vegapunk? What if Vegapunk has the reverse devil fruit of what Toki has? And the reason why Vegapunk is making all this technology isn't because he's a genius. It's because he's a scientist from thousands of years in the future.
That's an awesome
theory. Who brought all this information to the past.
and who would have an exact time for that, which would be 500 years from the future. Because he has the technology from that. That would be awesome.
There you go.
That would explain why exactly 500 years, How would you know it's 500 years in the future if he's not actually from 500
but
years
if he's actually from 500 years in the future and he came in the past, because it would make sense that there would be an opposite of that devil fruit, right?
Yeah,
that there wouldn't just be one time one that shoots you forward, that would be one that sends you back.
I mean, Toki is also a bit of a convenient plot device now, so...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, once you introduce time travel, there's a whole bunch of other weird little things that can happen to the story. But, I was just thinking about that again since the last time and talking about Vegapunk being in the upcoming stories. And I think that would be a weird parallel, right? To have the story of someone traveling from the past into the future and telling their side of the story. And then going to Elbaf, maybe having Vegapunk and having him tell his side of the story of what happened in the future. And then going back and trying to change things using his technology.
And maybe Vegapunk knows exactly what's going to happen if the world government continues like this. So he's trying to, with Kuma or whatever, he's trying to change the future that he came from.
Totally.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. I didn't even think about that with the opposites. So
see, there you go.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
You. Yeah.
Every time I'm on, we're introducing new theories to each other. That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, we should do this more often. I like this.
Little miniature theory discussions.
Yeah, for sure. Who knows? Maybe I can join some reveries or something.
Maybe you can join a reverie stream in the future. Yeah.
Who knows?
Honestly, I don't know when the next reverie is going to happen, but I mean, you're more than welcome to join. Obviously, I'm in charge of it, so if you wanna be on one.
Oh, I'm not going to invite myself. That would be.
Well, I'm saying I'm inviting you. You're fine. You're welcome. Even that stuff in the chapter though with Roger and how he looked like Ace, and then thinking about where the story's going now and thinking about, who's left over on Wano Country after everything's said and done, and what you were mentioning with God Valley and the deities and the dragons and everything. One thing that was brought up to me recently in another video is the idea that, there could be someone from Wano Country that's not just the samurai making a new ship of the Grand Fleet, but someone from Wano joining the crew after all this is said and done. And the idea of who that person could be. And the one big idea that I was thinking about, and that I talked about with Morge and with a couple other people, is the idea that Tama, because Tama can tame Kaido and do all this other stuff, the idea that, she could tame some of Kaido's beasts.
Yes.
If somehow, some way, Tama could join the crew as a cabin girl, and somehow, some way, with her awakening, tame Kaido enough to allow Luffy and the rest of them to actually get a hit on him. Because we've seen a lot of this where she's taming Speed and taming these other characters, or maybe it's something as simple as her taming one of the other calamities, which would obviously still be a really big deal. But yeah, if Tama was actually able to tame Kaido somehow.
Oh, that reminds me of the story of Momotaro. Maybe you know about that. right?
Absolutely, because that's the whole idea where I got the Oni thing from in the first place.
Yeah.
Is that the villain in the story is a giant Oni, and then we've got Momonosuke, and so I thought, okay, Momotaro, Momonosuke, you've got like the monkey that helps him, that's Luffy. You know, like everything kind of seems to make sense in that aspect. But yeah, what if Tama is the Momo figure, and it's actually not Momo at all, and that's sort of like a red herring?
Yeah, because I mean, Tama would be the little dangos that Momotaro has in his story, right? That he uses to get the animals on his side.
Right.
And the dango are actually what in the end defeats the Oni, because that's how the animals join in the first place. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And especially if that ties in somehow with the minks, with the Sulong forms, with the full moon, because we know that's going to happen during the Fire Festival as well.
And that's one thing I wanted to mention. I didn't mention that last time with the Momotaro story, since we're already there. It also kind of confirms Marco's joining.
Oh yeah, Marco's for sure going to join the Fire Festival. There's no doubt he's going to be with Nekomamushi. That's something for me that like I'm surprised that people still don't think that's going to happen, where they think Marco is literally just going to stay there and Neko's going to come on his own. I mean, I truly feel like Nekomamushi is going to bring along the remnants of the Whitebeard Pirates. I think we're going to get Marco, we're going to get Jozu, if Jozu's still alive. We're going to get Izo for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with Izo in the flashback. Izo comes back and sees the grown-up Kiku.
And maybe Izu's going to feel bad that he stayed with Whitebeard in the first place. It's going to be some nice touch. And because in the story of Momotaro, so there was first the monkey, which is obviously Luffy, right?
Right.
Then the dog represents Inuarashi, because he's the representative of the minks in Wano right now.
Sure.
And then there's that bird.
The pheasant.
The pheasant. And that's Marco and the Whitebeard remnants, because Marco's the leader of the Whitebeard remnants. And Oda really wants to finish that story like in Momotaro. It looks like from Onigashima's looks to Momotaro being there, from Tama who's going to play a major role. So even
going back to Tama real quick too, there's one other thing that I was thinking about, especially this is how I even got on the topic in the first place. We were just talking about the Kaido stuff, and then I like completely lost my train of thought because we were talking about 20 different things. But the reason I brought up Tama in the first place is in the very beginning of Wano Country. Remember how Ace made the promise to come back for Tama, and then when she's grown up and she's a kunoichi, that he could travel the world with her, like she would join him?
Yes.
Well, the young Gold Roger looked like Ace, and this is what sort of like triggered this in my mind. And then again, I talked about it on that Ohara podcast. What if Tama ends up joining Luffy after everything, like as a cabin girl?
Yeah.
Because he's fulfilling like Ace's promise to Tama, saying, I'll take you on the seas with me. Because really, you know, Momo's going to have to stay in Wano Country after all this, as the new guardian deity, like we talked about.
Yeah.
The Scabbards are probably going to take down Orochi, and then will serve, of course, the new Shogun, which will be Momonosuke. Or if there's like a subsection of the Scabbards that can go make a Grand Fleet ship, there you go. But where does that leave Tama after everything is said and done? And there does seem to kind of be an opening for like a cabin boy, cabin girl type character. And I think Tama could be it.
Yeah, now that you laid all out for me, it makes sense for me.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
And someone has to join from Wano. It just makes so much sense.
Yeah. I mean, Jinbei obviously is the one that for sure will, because he's already a Straw Hat. It's just a matter of him coming back, and we know he'll show up by the end of the Fire Festival. And we still don't really know what's going on with Carrot. You know, Carrot could eventually join too after all of this, because where's she going to go? Unless she, you know, just hops back with the minks and goes back to Zoe after everything's done.
Or she's the traitor. I don't know.
I hope that's not the case, though. I'd be so sad if Carrot was the traitor. I still think the traitor's going to be one of the Scabbards. And I think we talked about that the last time we recorded, too, is that I think, you know, whenever we find out who the traitor is, I think the traitor probably had good intentions. Like they're protecting something or someone.
I would believe that as well. The only thing
if it is a Scabbard,
like the only reason why I don't think it's a Scabbard is because of Toki's prophecy. If one of the Scabbards is not on Odin's side, then it doesn't fulfill itself anymore.
Well, Shinobu is not technically a Scabbard.
That's true. Yeah.
And so, like, Shinobu could be it.
Yeah. Well, the mature love of a woman. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, right. There you go.
All right, I think this was an awesome discussion with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we went through a lot of different stuff. I wasn't expecting to go off into all these other theories. I thought we were just going to talk about the Little God Valley thing, but then, again, it turned into like a full half-hour discussion, so that's great.
It's just good news. We have to do something like this more often.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so where can we find you, Roger?
You can find me everywhere on the internet, Rogersbase, Rogersbase, on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. Primarily, like I said, I upload everything on YouTube on Sundays, Pacific time. when the new chapter comes out, and then I'll do a review the following Monday. And then I also, like I said, I stream on Twitch, stream video games. I'm definitely going to do a playthrough of Pirate Warriors 4. That looks amazing. I can't wait to try that game out.
I love it.
And there's going to be Wano Country stuff in that too, so I'm excited to see how the story deviates. But yeah, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram, Rogersbase. Make sure to check me out. And thank you for having me, Neo. It's always a pleasure to
thank you. Yeah.
Meet more people in the international community. I think that's so cool. So.
Yeah, for sure. So, danke fürs Anschalten, liebe Freunde. Das war's dann auf jeden Fall in Abchecken. Ich werde die ganzen Links in die Beschreibung posten und in die Kommentare posten. Und danke, dass ihr auch fürs Englische zugehört habt. Und wenn jemand Übersetzungen machen möchte mit Untertiteln, würde das mich sehr gerne freuen. Das war's dann. Well, thank you, Roger, so much for coming on.
Dankeschön.
Bitteschön. Bye.